Hmm. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to yet another Blackout Podcast. So, this podcast is a bit different. I am not recording this with a live audience right now because Wi-Fi bills have been left unpaid, so I cannot really use bad mobile data to host a live stage and whatnot. So that's why I couldn't really even publish this video until whatever date I am going to publish this. Usually podcasts will be coming up on a Monday, but this time it's a bit different. But yeah, I've managed to at least get questions from the people at least and whatever they wanted to say and whatnot. So yeah, welcome back to yet another podcast. Uh, there will be few things I will be talking about, minor things, but afterwards I will be answering people's questions. But yeah, without further ado, might as well get started. So, few updates in the roadmap channel. Uh, in the roadmap channel itself, I have earlier in the roadmap channel, didn't really list any emojis with every single task I'm planning to do. So, the- today itself, I managed to add few emojis. Now, if you are looking at the roadmap channel right now, you can see three different emojis being, not three actually, four. Uh, those four emojis being the construction sign, the checkmark sign, the yellow dot sign, and the infinity sign. I'll just start with the simplest one, the infinity sign. The infinity sign is pretty much just going to be those things are just supposed to be maintained over time and whatnot. But yeah, if a task has an infinity sign behind it, beside it, then it pretty much means that it is a maintenance job. If a task has the yellow dot behind it, that means it's currently being worked on. So if anyone is keeping tabs on the roadmap, you can see that if any task has a yellow dot beside it, that pretty much means that either me or another Hicom is working on those tasks. If you see a construction, okay, my pronunciation is really the worst. If you see a construction sign, that pretty much means either that work hasn't been started yet or it will be started sooner or later down the line. So yeah, after an Hicom takes any job regarding the roadmap, I will be updating the roadmap. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for the roadmap updates. Now, updating people on what has been happening, at least regarding the roadmap itself. I'll talk about things which I personally have been working about. So yeah, starting off, many people have asked questions regarding the law department. So regarding the law department, sorry, not law department, law writers, regarding law itself, me and many other people have been working on it for quite a while. If I wanted to name these people, they would be Acid Riptide, who's an N1 in Blackout, Lumps, who's a visitor in Blackout, I think. Uh, then Bobby and I Am Cool Gamer have also been really helpful in creating the content regarding Low. As of right now, 70% of it is done. There's still the 30% remaining left, and I need to still confirm things regarding the lore itself. So I don't think I can host it, or I can assign someone else to host it like within this month at least. But hopefully by next month, I should be able to complete the whole thing itself, and actually get it to people. The lore I am thinking of like promoting, or the way I'm doing it, it's pretty much a bit complex. It has multiple steps within itself, so that's why it's taking a bit too long. But once the basics are set, I think the future lore operations shouldn't take too long. But yeah, I was planning to host like complete at least the lore work, like for the very first official lore operation to like happen this month itself. But I don't think it might happen. But yeah, hopefully by next month's first week itself, I can get it out to people as soon as possible. But yeah, I just don't really want to rush the process, as lore is something not many people just don't want to mess about. And considering Blackout's past lore itself, it has mostly just been a loose lore, not really, uh, you know, let's just say consistent. Yeah, that's the proper word. So yeah, this time I'm trying my best to not have it that way. But yeah, hopefully everything goes fine. Moving to the other thing I have been working on regarding the roadmap itself. I recently posted to officers regarding majority of the accreditations we have. So if you guys notice anyone's role, like if you see any Hicom's roles itself, you can pretty much see all the accreds we have. Let me just find CO announcements real quick. So in CO announcements, I posted a draft to for officers to pretty much see. I am pretty much going to change. I'm pretty much going to make accreds into three different distinctions: short trainings, medium trainings, and long trainings. Short trainings will be around 30 to 60 minutes in time of hosting them. Excuse me. And medium trainings will be around 60 to 80 minutes. Depends on how efficiently it's hosted and whatnot. And long trainings will usually take about 80 minutes and 90 minutes. I'm not adding new accreds, by the way, just so you guys know. I'm only setting these standards for the current accreds we have. Now I will be going down list by list on what all the accreds are, and I'll be pretty much explaining a short brief on what each accred is supposed to pretty much teach and whatnot. This draft itself was actually formulated by with the help of officers. I posted the forms for them, and each one of them had their own suggestions, and I used it to make this draft pretty much. So yeah, thank you to the officers directly. But otherwise, moving on. Basic training, as you guys know, the BT accred. The main purpose of the BT accred moving forward will be introduces basic faction etiquettes and basic tactics related to member safety, ordinance usage, vehicle safety, medical usage, and basic callouts. So I'm currently working on revamping the BT right now. So this pretty much changes the current BT. So we will be removing breaching from the current BT itself, and whatever I just said will be implemented within the new BT at least. Moving on to the next accred, which is navigation and free fall. Now, recently, many people have had issues with navigation and free fall not being hosted a lot, and the I'm pretty sure it was either last week or last to the last week. I did a poll for officers to make the accreds under 30 minutes or around 30 minutes. So the purpose of making both the accreds around 30 minutes is, supposing if an officer wants to host only navigation or free fall, they can host it as a separate event. So the event itself is like around 30 minutes for the phases itself, not like the whole briefing and members joining in included. But yeah, each navigation and free fall have been made in a way so they only last for like 30 minutes maximum. So in this way, supposing if an officer wants to host both the accreds at once, they can host both the accreds at once. So supposing if an officer hosts navigation and free fall at the same time, they can host it around an hour and make attendees still like if an attendee attends their event, they will still be able to manage. They will still be able to achieve both the accred if they pass the requirements and whatnot. So pretty much it's like a middle. It's like a middle path between a combined accred and a separate accred. So if an officer chooses to, they can host both the accreds at one time without wasting too much time on it, like 2 hours or at least, and they can they can host both the accreds within an hour itself. So yeah, this hopefully allows attendees to receive both the accred rather than attending two separate events or just waiting for two separate events to happen. Sometimes people have issues attending a navigation accred but have the free fall accred, and sometimes they have the navigation accred but don't have the free fall accred. So this is pretty much a step to like solve this problem. But yeah, so all the three trainings I mentioned right now, basic BT, navigation, and free fall, these will be considered as short trainings. They should be lasting between 30 to 60 minutes and whatnot. Moving on from short trainings, next I will be talking about medium trainings. Medium trainings, as I said earlier, is supposed to last around 60 to 80 minutes, and these trainings will include advanced combat accreditation. Now, earlier, like before this new change at least, advanced combat accreditation was more used was more used as an ACS BT. If you don't know what ACS is, it's called Advanced Combat System, I believe. It's like a realistic gun system, not really realistic, but like semi-realistic. So rather than having that ACS BT, considering we are not doing ACS anytime soon, two-thirds suggested that we might as well convert it into an advanced basic training for BRM5 itself. So this training itself will be expanding into like different tactics regarding uh, different tactics regarding open world combat as a team and whatnot. I haven't really planned it out yet, but I'll just read the draft I've written. So rather than doing the basics of stuff, this will deal with more detailed tactics which can be done by normal contracted in basic events. So yeah, this pretty much just covers tactics which can be done in open world by normal contracted at least, which can be useful in deployments or any PvP situation if needed. I haven't really started working on it yet, so I cannot really comment on what exactly will be added. But yeah, in the future at least, I will be talking with officers and whatnot if they are fine with certain things or if they want to add certain things and whatnot. So yeah. Moving on to the next medium training, which is CQB accreditation. Now, CQB was okay. This might be just a dumb joke, but the reason CQB wasn't really hosted was because El Chara got deleted as soon as we were planning to implement it. The reason why we didn't really implement it, like since ages, was because I was like personally waiting for Na to add back the desert map, because in the training itself, for the building we would use for the test, like the final test for the CQB accred, we were actually planning to use the desert embassy compound itself. But as soon as we were like going to implement the accred, NAR decided to delete the whole map itself, and I didn't personally realize that that same building itself still exists in RGE which can be used. So yeah. So that's what exactly happened, why CQB accred was never implemented. But yeah, now that I know that the building still exists and we can use it, after doing all the accred work, I will be evaluating it, and if it's still a valid accred for whatever trainings we have for it, like the document information itself, if it's proper, then we will be just going ahead and implementing it. But otherwise, yeah, CQB will pretty much remain the same. I'll just mention the draft description I spoke about it will mostly focus on small team CQB tactics and ordnance use in short corridors and small rooms, and will test the attendees in a short simulation. So it's pretty much, if you attended the old CQB like months ago, then you might pretty much know how it's hosted. But yeah, just a basic description. It's just going to focus on small team CQB. That's pretty much it. Excuse me. Alright. Moving on to the last medium training, which is leadership accred. Now, leadership accred is still somewhat functional, I believe. Poppy and Lone Entertainment, who are the M3s in Blackout, have been sort of hosting it, but not really a lot. But yeah, I'm not really going to put pressure on officers for hosting stuff yet. I mean, not really going to pressure anyone for anything, but I will be focusing on getting more officers and whatnot into these kind of avenues, so we can have accreds running rather than being halted because officers have their own life and whatnot. So yeah, but we are still going to stick with the same motto: quality over quantity. So yeah, hopefully with time itself, we can push out the leadership accreditation to as many people as possible. Otherwise, moving on to the last accred itself, which is the only long training, I believe. SCO, Squad Combat and Ordnance Accreditation. Now, the name itself will be subject to change because the only reason the name the accred has ordinance in it is because this is the only accred as of now which teaches like how to use the ordinance. But I'm transferring this part of teaching ordinance use to like the BT itself, considering considering it's kind of a basic thing to be taught to members. So the name might change of SCO, but yeah, uh, the squad combat and ordinance will more or less still focus on tactics which will be used in faction wars and whatnot, and how to and put attendees through a hardcore test of survival in a tough situation and still be the same hardest accred, if not the hardest, I believe. But yeah, I'll just read. Okay, okay, yeah. I'll just read the rough draft I written for it. Will focus mainly on squad combat tactics and squad survival in the last phase. So yeah, it's pretty much still going to revolve around the same thing. Majority of the accreds don't really need a revamp. Only there's like only two accreds I believe which I need to work on, which is the normal BT and the advanced BT. Rest of the accreds I just need to make sure that the documents mention it correctly, and those documents consist like certain presets which officers can use to like directly copy paste it into the game itself and whatnot, and have certain RGE builds which can be useful for officers and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole plan revolving it. So yeah, I'm it's a really huge part of the work. So hopefully I can finish it within 2 weeks at least. At least the current BT, I'm trying my best. With IRL stuff, I don't really get too much time, but yeah. Moving on to the next work. Let me see the roadmap real quick. In terms of joint events, last month we had two joint events, I believe, two or three. I think two of them were scrims and one of them was a deployment. Recently, this month we haven't really seen any joint events or deployments because Foreign Affairs is recently going under a huge revamp. So the revamp is being worked by Zlord and Real Neon. Uh, they are pretty much working under F1 right now. But yeah, as per what I know, they are currently revamping the department itself and how the department functions and whatnot, and making documents regarding it. So they haven't really focused on getting joint deployments anytime soon. But yeah, so this month I don't think we are going to see any joint events yet. I don't really know if there's going to be any, at least for this month, but at least by next month itself, I will be pushing them to like get more joint events with other factions and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much it for joint events. Moving on to the next thing. Uh, Implementation of a joint divisional venture. I proposed a draft to F1 since he's the divisional OC and whatnot. Uh, he said he will work on it, but yeah, as of right now, like three of our divisional directors just decided to retire due to their own circumstances. Each one of them had their own circumstances. I don't really blame them or whatever, but yeah. So once those spaces are filled, he can sort of get this started up and running. But yeah, the joint divisional venture will also be a thing. Is also a thing which is being worked on, not really actively as needed, but it's still in the works. But yeah, whatever projects I mentioned are being currently worked on. If you want to see what projects are being worked on, you can open up the roadmap, and if it has a yellow dot beside it, then that's pretty much the thing which is being worked on actively. But otherwise, yeah. Moving on to let me think. Is there anything else which I need to mention? I mean, considering there's a lack of live audience right now, I don't really think people can remind me of anything. But yeah, this is why I this is why I usually post forms, because if people want to ask any questions without being in the live audience itself, they can always ask it there. But yeah, hmm, I don't think there's anything personally I need to mention. But yeah, if you want to like talk about or not talk about or ask anything regarding whatever work is going on, you are always free to like DM me or any of the Hicom regarding their own work, and they will always be open to talk with people unless and until it's confidential info. Then TFP will most probably redact you from this world. But otherwise, uh, just a future hint, there is a Blackout trailer project on the way. Not really, it's not going to be highly focused as of now, but recently a person has approached us. I forgot his Roblox username. Uh, Wait, let me find it. Kojak Index. Yeah, there we go. So Kojak Index recently approached Hicom to like make a new Blackout trailer and whatnot, and he won't be pushing with the project soon as he has his own life and whatnot. But he has mentioned that during his holidays he will be focusing on this. But yeah, if you see any photo shoots and recording sessions and whatnot, do help him out. But otherwise, yeah, Blackout trailer, a new Blackout trailer will be out within next month or the next month of the next month. Otherwise, let's see if I am missing something. Don't really think I am missing anything. Mm, yeah, no, I don't think I'm missing on anything. Alright, so I might as well move on to the questions asked by officers and the public in general. In general, officer questions, officer questions. There you go. Alright. So last week only one officer decided to ask their questions. So yeah, starting off with the first question, which the person proposed, who's the person Gaming Estate. If you don't know Gaming Estate, he's an M6 in Blackout and is the director of BSC. All right. So he has asked three questions. The first one being, what is happening with BRC and why did it fail to do, and why did it fail to do well when it was first implemented? All right. Answering the first part of it, what is happening with BRC? Currently, the stuff happening in BRC, which I have personally seen, is, let me just check real quick. Uh, they have a certain officer logging document, so let me just refer to it real quick. Officer work logging channel. So let me find it real quick. All right. So they did few tests few days ago, actually like 10 days ago. Uh, I believe the confirmed work which has been done is the basic training which they have. So yeah, their handbook is completed like 90%, I believe. It's still considered as a draft, still considering the work is still going on. And yeah, so according to the roadmap MateJ has made, divisional handbook is green. The drills which BRC will be doing is also green, and the rank system has also been implemented, I believe. He's currently reworking the RCT. I don't really know what the whole thing is called. Let me just see. Okay, I don't know the full form of RCT, but yeah, if you have any questions regarding BRC, feel free to DM MateJ. But yeah, and he's currently working on getting officers in. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in BRC right now, from what I can see. I'm not really personally keeping tabs. If you really want to know what's happening in BRC, I highly suggest DMing MateJ or F1, who's the divisional overseer. But yeah, so that's what's happening in BRC. Let me answer the next question. Why did it fail to do well when it was first implemented? The reason why it failed during the first attempt was the first mistake being I pushed it out way too early to the public. So initially, when me, MateJ, and Helicopter made it, we made the basic training, we made we made the handbook, and we made the tryout, and we just pushed it out to the public as soon as possible. Like, that was more of a mistake from my side, because I mean MateJ and Helicopter don't really have any experience regarding divisions and whatnot, like managing a whole division at least. And I, as the then divisional overseer, was just more or less just happy that I had these many resources like already on the ready. So we just pushed out the division way too early to the public. Like the stuff we made just have a was just made within like 2 weeks, like minimum 2 weeks. So like after that time period itself, we just pushed out the division instantly. And as you know, divisions are like highly complex things. You should like never push a division and whatnot. So yeah, give me a second. The washing machine is calling for me. Give me a minute. Alright, I'm back. Sorry, I'm alone at home, so no one can really tend to other things. But yeah. So as I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I pretty much rushed the release of the division itself, and at the during the start itself, it was going pretty fine. Like even I myself knew that I wouldn't know the problems with making a new division, because that was literally my first time even like making a new fresh division myself as divisional overseer. But I just had the mentality that I will pretty much face any problems which arises, and as the problems come up, I will keep solving them and moving up and whatnot. So yeah, I kept pretty much moving with it and whatnot. And down the line, when both Mate J and Helicopter were recruiting officers for to like work in BRC and whatnot, there was, let's just say, internal disputes between Mate J and Helicopter regarding one of the officers, and regardless of the dispute, it just kept growing pretty much. And the internal disputes pretty much led to the division in turmoil, uh, and down the line, it just became a really big mess. A mess which I had to pretty much step in daily to like check out things and whatnot. And as time went by, things just got more complex and complex and complex, and it just kept becoming complex. The whole purpose of BRCs just went from giving a milsim experience to becoming the go-to division for like faction wars and whatnot. And like, and then down the line, at the end of the day, all the like managing officers of BRC just decided to retire at once. So like at that point, the end was inevitable. So like yeah, that's pretty much what happened, and why BRC initially failed in the first place when it was first implemented. Moving on to the second question. Oh wait, you asked the same questions. What is being done to help BRC, or are you all going to remove it? I'm not going to remove it. This is pretty much BRC's last chance to pretty much stand up on its legs. Uh, as of right now, only Mate J is the person working along with F1 to make the documents and whatnot. And there is one of the officers, not one of the officers, but one person who was recently recruited within BRC officer. And Mate J has like a list of officers he wants in BRC. So sooner or later, as per his roadmap, which I can see, he's going to approach those officers and whatnot to like ask their help in getting BRC up and running and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully for the future itself, BRC can be running up and running. But yeah, in terms of what Hicom is providing to help, we have pretty much given them all the channels and roles which is needed. As of right now, it's more on Mate J to get in members and whatnot. But yeah, if you're listening to the podcast and interested in helping out BRC, just hit up Mate J and see what he says. But yeah, moving on to your next question, what is happening within the lore department? Is it doing well, or is the activity decreasing? The thing regarding lore writers is, it's not really a department, but I converted it into a sort of group which still isn't really working out well, to be honest. But yeah, initially when I started it, I thought that people would be interested in making lore content, but as it's pretty much clear, people are not really interested in making their own stuff and posting it for the people to like read and whatnot. Like the lore post channel itself has been dead for like ages. people haven't really, like, at least the people inside lore writers right now, like people who have the lore writers role, they aren't really interested in making lore content and like posting it for like other people to see. The thing which people are more interested on is making Blackout lore itself. And like regarding Blackout lore itself, I'm pretty much guiding it. Like Hicom is playing a major role in like managing Blackout lore and whatnot, just to keep it within a proper space itself and not really go out of bounds into some random multiverse or something. So yeah, it's as of right now, as I said earlier, 70% of the work is done regarding the lore. Like I personally made the mission document itself. Acid Reptide has made the story document for it, and Bobby and I Am Cool Gamer contributed few pictures for it, like for frequency 000, and Lumps made the context, like uh, pretty much the news titles for the frequency 000 channel. But yeah, just a hint: whenever the lore operation is ready to be hosted, frequency 000 will be active. So if you what did I just say? If you see chats coming inside the channel frequency 000, then pretty much the lore operation is around the corner and whatnot. So yeah, as I said earlier, 70% of the work is done. I don't really want to spoil it for people and whatnot, but yeah, I'm still working on completing every single aspect of it before I move on to other future things and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much it regarding law department. And that was the only officer who asked who asked a question. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but moving on. Moving on to the public questions. uh, all right. The first question from the public, at least, being from Kami, uh, who's an L13 in Blackout. Do you have an exact date for BRC's launch, or at least which stage of preparation at they're at? Are they also looking for members to help out? As I said earlier, they are looking for members to help out. If you are really interested in helping out BRC, I highly suggest DMing MateJ, and if he chooses you, then lucky enough you will win. But yeah, uh, at, I don't really know an exact date for BRC's launch. I'm not going to rush it the same way I rushed it in my past. But yeah, I just want it to be good enough for a launch, just so the division can stand up on its own legs and start working in their own way and whatnot. In terms of what stage they are in, as per the roadmap I just saw, they still have a lot of work left to do. But considering it's just as of right now, it's just one person doing the work. It's a lot for Mage to like constantly return back, open his turn on his computer and just constantly do BRC work. So yeah, everyone has their own burnout and their own capacity to do work. So yeah, if you really want to help out Mage regarding BRC, I highly suggest DMing them. But yeah, that's pretty much it, Kami. Second person is OsyWare, who's an L15 in Blackout. Who's gonna carry the boats and logs? I don't really know what you mean by logs, but in terms of boats, if they do get implemented in BRM5, they will most probably go under BRC. But if just in case, if BRC isn't up by the time NAR adds boats to the game, it might be made more of a joint divisional venture thing. Currently, the joint divisional venture which is mentioned in the roadmap, I named it as Joint Divisional Alliance, so pretty much in short JDA and whatever. But yeah, we are planning to add joint divisional accreds, which divisions can host for themselves with other divisions as an accred and whatnot, which may allow certain permissions and whatnot. So yeah, it's not really a fully prepared concept yet, but that's pretty much the idea regarding uh, the joint divisional alliance, is divisions having more connectivity with each other and divisions having more accreds with each other and whatnot. So it pretty much offers more to the divisional space and whatnot. So yeah, in case boards get added before BRC is fully functional, then it will most probably go under a joint divisional thing. But yeah, let's just wait for NAR to add the boards first. Until then, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know what you may really mean by logs, but anyways. Next question is from 9S, who's an L15 in Blackout. He's asking, wanna go out sometime? Sure. 9 p.m. in my bedroom in a maid outfit. Tomorrow. Tomorrow being 20th of this month. Anyways, talk BRC. I just talked about BRC, so I'm not going to answer it here now. And his next statement is, water is not wet. 9S, go dip your head in water. If you're not wet, then let me know if water is not wet. But if you are wet, that means water is wet. Moving on. Next person asked the question. His name is Extinct for Real, who's an L4 in Blackout. I would like to know if there would be any updates to the official lore and if Platinum actually considers it part of the actual game lore. So, just so you know, Extinct, there is a lore for like BRM5 at least, not factions by the way, but like the main BRM5 lore game itself has a lore. So if I understood the lore properly, it pretty much goes like RLF and POD are pretty much torturing the civilians and whatnot. RLF is more or less it. I guess it earlier started off as like a liberation faction. Like RLF in the name itself, it says Ronograd Liberation Front and whatnot. But like RLF itself started as a front for like as a liberation entity, but down the line they started to like join POD and whatnot. And after getting supplies from POD and whatnot, like internal change, rank changes and whatnot, the POD and RLF are pretty much hand in hand. They just control different sectors of the map and whatnot. And in general, they both POD and RLF are pretty much oppressing the people of Ronograd. That is where UN comes in and pretty much protects the people and provides them refugee goods and whatnot, and liberates few of the liberates the locations and whatnot. And I'm talking about the game lore purely, by the way. This is not Blackout lore as of now. But down the line, if you the bunker raid itself, as per the canon lore for like BRM5 lore, the missile actually launches, like the bunker raid fails totally, and the missile launches, and the missile actually hits New York, and the missile is actually a biological weapon. It's not really a nuke, but it's a biological weapon, and that's pretty much going to give birth to zombies in BRM5. If you know about the zombie game mode, which is going to be implemented soon, that's pretty much the whole premise of the zombie even the zombies game mode even existing, is because BRM5 the Platinum 5 group itself actually manages to fail the bunker raid, and the biological weapon launches, hits New York and whatnot and blah blah blah. But yeah, that's the official BRM5 lore. What I am doing for Blackout lore itself is we are pretty much going to piggyback from the same thing. We are pretty much using the BRM5 lore as like the foundation for us, and we are just going to include Blackout as like one of the units within the one of the units present in Adak Islands as like a support group and whatnot. So if you go into the lore channel, wait, let me see what the channel name is properly. So if you go into the official lore channel, I think that's the proper name. Let me see real quick. Where the hell is the goddamn channel? Oh yeah, official lore. So yeah, if you go into the official lore channel, you can see a document in there. The name of the document is Blackout PMC Secure Terminal. So if you specifically go into that channel, you can see that Blackout, the start of Blackout itself is like an emergency force made by NATO to like combat the issues going on in Attack Islands and whatnot. I'm out of breath. But yeah, that's pretty much what we are going. We are just pretty much using BRM5 lore to like support Blackout lore and whatnot, to like stick to the original script as much as possible, but adding our like our perspective to it and whatnot. And to answer your question properly, no, I don't think PL5 will accept Blackout lore as part of their lore in any way possible. It's if you know, so many official faction leaders have like tried to include like certain faction aspects in the game itself, because in the PL5 server itself, official faction leaders actually have a separate channel to like ask the devs for if they want to like directly talk with the devs. There is a separate channel for it and whatnot. And we have in the past itself, like I wasn't really involved in these debates. It was the previous H5 frag who was involved in the one I know. They pretty much asked PL5 devs regarding faction patches, where the logo of the faction will be like in the game itself as patches which people can like wear on their vest and whatnot. And it wasn't really like accepted. It wasn't really like a straight no, at least. The community manager just said that PL5 devs are considering giving certain unique things for like factions, but as of now they just want to focus on their own like task and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully this gives a better insight on whatever is going on. But yeah, I don't think they will be ever accepting our proposal or whatnot to like become integrate our lore into theirs. Say pretty much that's pretty much it. Moving on to the next question. Jpspug, who's an L1 in Blackout. Okay, I read this question earlier, like in my own time, but I still cannot figure it out. He pretty much has written unlimited bacon but no games, or games unlimited games but no games. I don't know what you mean, bro. Like, I'm pretty sure you are trying to say unlimited bacon but no games, or unlimited games but no bacon. But I think you messed up the wordings and whatnot, and it's really confusing. But if you're saying that, if you're saying what I think you're saying, I'm just going to say unlimited games but no bacon, because funny thing is, I don't eat bacon. So yeah, good for me. Anyways, moving on. Sorry. Next question is from Real Neon, who's valiantly discharged in Blackout. He used to be the director of BOW. His first question is, how do you think I'm doing as H5 so far? To be honest, I don't know. Like legit, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really judge myself on whatever actions I do unless and until people have any issues with it. Like I'm just simply doing the work and moving along with it. But yeah, if you truly want an answer for that, I would highly suggest just ask the public for it, or just ask anyone who's active enough to like notice my work and whatnot, to see how they are doing and how I'm doing and whatnot. Secondly, what are your plans for the immediate future as well as long-term plans for the faction? I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in my rambles earlier, like the immediate future at least. For the long-term plans, I would highly suggest reading the roadmap only. Like, I'm pretty sure I cover the majority of things in the roadmap itself. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my long-term plans at least. Next question is apparently from Anonymous. Someone was too scared to mention their name. But yeah. The other question is, when is a H4 being picked? And when is that H1 spot being filled? So, to answer it plainly, I'm not choosing anyone as H4 anytime soon. And recently an officer asked me the same question. I'll just say the same thing which I told him. Let me just find the DM real quick. Alright, so in terms of getting an H4, the thing I mostly need for like choosing an H4, the first and foremost thing is that they don't plan to retire anytime soon. Because if I choose an H4 who plans to retire anytime soon before me, then at that point itself, because the thing with H4 is if I retire, the next hot seat to like the next the very first person to take the seat is the H4. It's like if the president decides to retire, the vice president is going to be the acting president. So like I need to choose a proper person for H4 that I know will last longer than me to like actually choose them and give them that position and whatnot. I just don't want to make a make a choice right now and have an H4 for like to people to see and whatnot, and then have that H4 retire way before me. Like I'm not, and I don't really want that situation itself. And like within Hicom itself, I don't really care about the ranks too much. Like I legit don't care. I just care about whatever work they're doing. So like I don't really care about the designations they have, but what I care about is the work they're doing. So yeah, uh, anytime soon there won't be any H4 unless I confirmly know that a person is going to work much more longer than me. And trust me, I'm not leaving anytime soon. So yeah. Moving on to the next question they asked. And when is that H1 spot being filled? As of now, I'm pretty sure what you mean is if someone takes the H4 spot from current Hicom, then the H1 spot will be empty, and the next person who will be the next H1 and whatnot. To be honest, I don't really know. I don't have any proper options as of now. Like among the people at least, there are a few promising officers, but like they still need to learn a lot more on how Blackout is managed and whatnot. Because the thing with Hicom is the things the way we make sorry the way we make majority of our decisions is really a complex process. Like whenever we make a decision, it's not like we just make the decision and whatnot. We have to think about every single possibility, every single people who will be affected by it, and from the current behavior of people, we have to consider how will they react to certain things and whatnot. And more or less, just based on that, we have to move forward with it. So like, it's a really long process, and like, few officers, few officers from the current panel of officers show that like show that potential, but like within the current officers themselves, they don't really like have the same work ethic as any other Hicom. Like once an Hicom has like a certain work and whatnot, they have to spend a considerable amount of their life into that part of the work to like actually have those work going on. Like even right now, me personally speaking, I have to like contribute 3 to 4 hours of my life just to like doing this whatever work that is in Blackout. And like each day has 24 hours, and I have to dedicate 3 to 4 hours just for Blackout itself. And that pretty much makes me lose other other like parts of my life. It's not really a good thing, but I've chosen it, so I'm doing it. But pretty much in the same way, other Hicom are like sort of compromising their own life for like doing the work and whatnot. So yeah, it is a long, complex thinking process and whatnot. It is pretty much plain and simple in like seeing it from the outside view, but the most like the very best thing we need from a person who's going to be chosen as Hicom is trust. If they weren't even trusted for like a certain thing, they will just never be chosen. The main thing regarding Hicom itself is pure trust. Like even with the current panel itself, all four of us trust each other with each other's decisions. And whenever we think that someone else's idea has a certain flaw, we point it out. But we never lie to each other, or we never like give false accommodations to each other. Like, oh yeah, bro. Like it's never a biased thing between Hicom at least. We never just say yes to each other's ideas just for the sake of saying yes. If I trust them to actually consider whatever I am saying and evaluate it in their own way and then say yes or no. I don't really wait for them to like just agree to me just because I'm the H5 and whatnot. And so yeah, many things, many little factors are like considered whenever choosing a new Hicom and whatnot. And this has been the process for like ages. And I don't want to set a precedent to like change this anytime soon. So yeah. I don't think anytime soon there will be a new H4 or H1. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Otherwise, moving on, I don't think there's anything else left to mention. Hopefully not. Uh, if I had a live audience, I would know, but anyways. But otherwise, as my leaving remarks, I would just like to say to everyone who is listening to this, thank you for listening in. Hopefully, you got updated regarding whatever is going on in the background. And if you ever want to know anything about anything, feel free to ask any Hicom or any officer. If they know about it, they will answer. If they don't, they will direct you to the person who knows more about certain things. But yeah, never be afraid to ask anything or suggest anything. Feel free to talk about anything. Trust me. Many can attest that I am open to anything as long as you make a proper argument. But yeah, otherwise, sooner or later, hopefully, people will be seeing change. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it for this podcast. Otherwise, for the people who are listening, thank you for listening. Cannot really thank the live audience for attending, but anyways, happens. Mm. Otherwise, hopefully, you guys have a great day. Thank you for listening in.